Okay, what up guys? So this is just a quick video to show you guys how I routed the power cable for the amplifier in my W204. Okay, so let me show you exactly what I did. So just to show you the setup. Okay, so there's all the power cables there. Let me give you guys some light. Okay, and there's the line output converter right there. Okay, so obviously there's 12 volt power, ground, remote in and remote out. Okay, so I grabbed the ground from the side here, so I grounded it there. I just followed the cable through, and as for the 12 volt remote in, I just used this here. And also, so remote in, I also used another one. That's what this is for, the remote in, and the remote out goes to the amplifier here. So that tells the amp to switch on once it's getting a signal from the speakers. Okay, and then there's the positive left and right, positive and negative left and right signal, speaker input, and I just took that straight off the factory subby right here. So as you can see right there, I just tapped off it and I just welded it straight on. And then I followed the cable wiring for the standard factory system, and I just followed it through, and then it just tucks under here and comes through here. As you can see, that's where it comes out, and then it just goes under the amp rack here. Okay, and then I just used a simple 30 centimeter cable because I didn't see the point in using such a long cable, and I just plug it in here like this. That's how I did that. So I have a positive block under here as well, and so I took the positive off that and then mounted it to the block underneath this amp rack. And that really comes in handy because if I ever want to connect anything else, I can simply use the cable, the positive power block that's under here, and then route the positive to anywhere I want. So that just comes in handy later on if I ever want to connect any other power source. Okay, and also I just wanted to go through this line output converter. Now there's a lot of misconceptions about how you need to connect this line output converter, and everyone's saying that you need to connect it to the back of their head unit. But that's not true. So as you can see, I haven't connected anything to my head unit. All I've done is run the speakers into the speaker input, and I took that straight off my factory sub. And as for the ground, I just grounded it to the chassis. And for the 12 volt switched power, I just grabbed power off the rear fuse block right here. Okay, so that's the 12 volt switched power. And then you have your remote in. Okay, so that's basically the same thing. So I just tapped off the fuse box again, and then that basically just tells the line output converter to turn on with your ignition. So the only difference is that when you turn off your car, you will no longer get signal to your line output converter, and therefore your aftermarket amp and sub won't work. But that's okay because I only want that to work if I turn on the car. That way I know I'm never going to drain the power. Because I already have a factory sub, that definitely comes in handy too for that little bit of bass, and I'm not trying to pump music while I'm standing still. Okay, and then you have your remote out, which basically just goes to your aftermarket amplifier. And that's it, guys. That's pretty much how I've run it. And therefore the amp will only turn on once it has signal from the line output converter. So it's kind of like a safety feature as well. So as you can see, I just basically ran everything at the back. So the other misconception about the line output converter is that it has to be connected to the head unit. Now that only applies if you always want your head unit to run with your aftermarket amplifier and subby. Or you can connect everything the same and then run your remote in wire to the back of your factory unit. That way it turns on with your head unit. So I've routed it this way so I never have to worry about battery drainage, like I said. So that way my aftermarket amp and subby will only turn on if I have the ignition on. Okay, and now just to show you how I actually routed the power cable for my amplifier. As you can see here, we've started straight off the battery right here. Okay, then the cable just tucks under here because it's a bit long, and then I have my 100 amp fuse circuit breaker, so that way if something ever goes wrong and I get a short, it will just
reset, and then all I have to do is turn it back on. And
rather than having to replace the fuse every time it blows. Okay, now here we have the cable. Okay, so as you can see here, there we go, there's the cable. So I just tuck it in here when I'm ready to use it. Okay, I just tuck it in and it will tuck in, and it's just hidden that way. Okay, so this is an Australian car, so the battery isn't on the right side, my fuse box is, but I'm told that the grommet, in order for you to use, in order to get the power cable inside the firewall, is in the same location, and it's just in here. So if you actually just look down in there, you'll actually see it. Now you can barely see it right now, but it's right there where this red cable finishes off, right there. Okay, I'll actually put an arrow so you can see it. And then it just tucks, it just goes down in there, so you actually have to make a hole in that rubber grommet, but don't make it too big because you still want it to be airtight, and so moisture doesn't get through as well. Okay, and then from there, I'll show you that it actually comes out here. And as you can see right there, that's the grommet I'm talking about. Okay, and then it just simply follows down and tucks behind this plastic part here, and I'll show you how to remove this. Okay, now it's going to be the same for the rest of the car. Okay, now it's very simple to remove this. So all you have to do is get like a pry tool, but use a trim removal tool because it's plastic and it won't actually scratch the car or dint it. Okay, and all you have to do is pry it off. Some people actually remove it from here, but I just pry it off here, and then it's much easier to put back together. And same for this part here. Okay, so you just pry it off. There you go. And then once you take this off, as you can see, we'll just put this here for a second. Don't mind these cables, that's actually for the light up star switch. And there you have it there. All these cablings are for my dash cam and also for the light up star. Now this is for the dash cam, so don't worry about this. And then this is the power cable here, and then as you can see, it simply tucks in and follows through all the way. Okay, and then it comes here and I just keep tucking it in. Now as you can see here, this is also the bass knob. This is the bass knob for the amplifier, so it's also the gain. That way I can actually control how much bass I want whenever I choose. Okay, and you basically just have to reverse route the cable. So basically how you route the power cable is the same route you're going to take for the bass knob. Okay, and then when you get to this part, you're going to see a plastic part that covers here, just like the one we removed here. Okay, and then there's going to be 3 clips on each side. Okay, so there's one here, and there's one here, and one more up here. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3. And then you just have to pop them off the same way I showed you how to pop these ones off. Then you just take it off. Now, this is the part I'm talking about. Okay, so this used to sit there like this. Okay, now as you can see, it actually sits underneath it. So you have to make sure that when you remove this, it sits in like this. Let me show you, okay, real quick. Okay, so this is how it sits in, like that. And then it sits underneath this. So in order to get it out, you have to pull this part in order to get it off. See how it sits over the carpet here? So you have to lift this part over it first, and then after you've unclipped all of these, so firstly you have to unclip all of these clips. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3 of them. And then after you've undone the clips on both sides, you lift it up so this part here isn't in the way anymore. You lift it up and then you pull it out, and as you pull it out, you pull it downwards. Okay, and then that's how you get this part out, like that. Okay, because as you can see here, this part here sits in here. So you have to actually pull it down so that it will release from there. Okay, and then once you pull this off, you can pull the carpet back a little bit and tuck your power cable all the way through, as you can see here. And then when you get to here, my power cable actually just bends in here and then comes out here, as you can see. So what I did was I just pulled this carpet back a bit like that, and as you can see, there's the power cable right there. Okay, and then I use this part, this little thing here, to hold the power cable in place. Okay, and this is the remote for the subby. I mean the remote, the control knob for the amplifier gain. And for this part here, you can actually lift it up. So there's a little tab right here that you pull back on, like that, and then you can lift it up like that, see? And then you can actually just tuck the cable underneath and then close it again, and it just clips into place, and then that's it. See, it comes on and off real easy. And as you can see here, my power cable just keeps running. Now, because I made an amp rack and I have my amplifier right here, that's why my power cable stops here, runs along here, and then stops right here. And then it goes in and then connects to a power block, and then from the power block it comes up to the capacitor. Okay, and then from the capacitor it goes straight across to the amplifier, and then that's it. Now, if you were going to connect it to the rear and then have it in the trunk, that's easy as well. All you have to do is follow this part here. So once you come up to here, you just have to lift, you just have to go through here. And as you can see, you can pull it apart, and then you just have to go straight through. As you can see the cabling there, and that will simply come out through here. And then you can just simply drop it right here underneath this the boot cover, and you'll have it right in the boot compartment. Or you can just follow it along through here, and then like other people do, they have it along here and then they drop it right here and then have the amp right here as well. So it's really up to you where you want your amp and how you want to install it. So, you know, whether you're trying to install the amp there and have an amp on show like I have, but you know, I know it's not the best, but it's just a little project that I was working on. So, you know, don't start hating just because it's not the best setup, but you know, it's just something that will suffice for now, and I can always change it anytime I want. So that's about it, guys. You know, that's how I've run the power cable for the amplifier, and as you can see, it's a very easy job. It doesn't take much time at all. And also I wanted to show you that even though I tapped off my rear subby and it was perfect for my setup, if you don't have the 9-speaker system, then you would have to tap into here. This plug here, that's where your speakers are. This is where your speaker wires are that then go into the door for the rear speakers right here. So you'd have to pull this apart, and from the schematics you just have to follow the coloring for the rear speakers, and then they're the speakers that you're going to have to tap into in order for you to get your high-low level inputs for your line output converter if you're trying to add a aftermarket subby and amp to your factory system. But in my case, like I said, I have the 9-speaker system, so all I needed was low-level inputs. However, I just wanted to stress that the reason why I tapped straight off here rather than cutting the cable here, because obviously these cables are the ones that run to the factory subby, because I truly believe that you should never have to cut factory cables unless you absolutely have to. So instead, I just made sure I had enough wiring to go to my factory amp, to my factory subby, and then simply route it around. It just means that you have to extend the cable a little bit more, and there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you're getting your high low level inputs for your line output converter, then everything's going to be fine. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how you would normally remove this scuff plate, because I didn't show you. You just have to get your trim removal tool underneath and pry it up. Okay, and then you just work yourself along to the back and just keep prying up. There's 3 parts that it clips to. And you work your way from here and pry it up. There we go. And as you can see, it's these 3 parts here that is connected to this here. And then this weather strip, you just have to pull up like so. See? Just like that. And you see these here? That's how this clips in. Like so, you see? It sits in between here. So you just have to pry it up enough to give it enough force just to come out. Okay? Just try to pry as close to it as possible. That's it. And that's how you take off the scuff plate. I mean, and it's the same thing for the rear. Okay, and I just wanted to show you how you would normally remove this. So normally you'd see the seal underneath this. So you would have to pop this off first, just the same way we did the front. So you just work your way, try to get the best leverage possible, and then pop it up. Okay, and then same thing. As you can see, these things. Sorry, as you can see, these things clip into here. So you just have to pry it up. Okay, and then normally you have the seal here, but as you can see, I've already taken it off. So you just pull the seal up, and then you get to this part here. Okay, now in order to remove all of this, you have to remove the seat first in order to get to the side cushion. And so all you have to do is pull. The seat is simply clipped in, so all you have to do is pull straight up in order to unclip this seat. Okay, so you just pull straight up, okay, like that, straight up. Okay, and then you push back as you push it towards the back of the car as you lift it up, and then it will unclip like that. And then you have to do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, you can't remove the seat until you've done both sides, and then the seat will remove. And then from here you have a T20 torque screw. You have a torque screw that holds this cushion in place. Once you undo that, this will simply loosen, and then this is simply pushed in as well. So you just pull it back, pull back on it, get a good grip, and then pull it back. And as you can see, it's just clipped in by this here. So it's like a push tab. So all you have to do is pull back on it with some force, and then it will come out just like the bottom of the chair. Okay, and then that removes. And just like the bottom of the chair, I'll show you as well. As you can see, that's the hole where this bronze clip sits straight in. So that's why all you have to do is pull it straight up and it will unclip. And then, like I said, you push the seat towards the back and then lift it up, and that's how the rear seat comes out. Okay, and then once you get to here, you'll see you have access to basically everything. Now, I mean, from here you could actually just pull the carpet back, but in my case I just decided to pop this off. In order to remove this, I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so normally this sits in here like this, okay, like so, and it's just like a push clip. And as you can see, that's how it sits. It faces upwards. You see the arrow? You see that it faces up. So all you have to do is pull it off, because it's like a push clip. And then once you pull that off, it will come off. But just like the other clips, you have to undo all these clips. So like I showed you before, you just have to pry them off like this, but make sure you pry them closest to it so you don't break anything. Okay, and once you've pried off all these clips, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then once you go to remove it, you lift this over this screw like that, and then you pull down, because this part sits in there. As you can see, look, I'm going to pull it down. As you can see, you see that little bit that protrudes right there? That sits under here. So you want to pull down and then take it out, and then this part will just come out like so, as you can see right there. And there you have it. And now you can have full access to the whole rear like I told you. And there you go, guys. That's how you remove the rear seat and the rear side cushion, so you can have access to all this part here in order to run whatever cables you need to. And now this will give you full access to everything. As you can see, there's the cables right there, but as I fold the chair back, the cables disappear, and as you can see now, there are no cables showing as soon as you fold the chair up, and that's why I ran the cables the way I did. And there you have it, guys. That's how you route the cabling for your amp if you want to install an amp in your W204. Okay, it's that simple.